Hello there friends, sinnopsyy here. In today's episode, who acquired Starladder? Bad news Eagles came back. Thorin decided to quit esports. The news about Imperial Female and 3D Max. And as always in the end, the most epic matches from IEM Katowice, as well as other exciting news from the world of CS2. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. I decided to open up the episode with bad news Eagles because just when we dropped the last episode, they decided to come back to the CS2 esports scene. And it's epic, to be honest, because I honestly really loved the previous team. Moreover, they're making a comeback, just reuniting their legendary roster from 2022. So yeah, that's how it is. juanflatroo, JXX, sinnopsyy, sinnopsyy, and Rigon are back. The 5 legendary players from Kosovo. Their first event will be the qualifiers for Blast Rivals Season 1. And my friends, if they play like they used to, they could seriously challenge teams like Falcons and all others. After all, these FaZe grinders have already proven that they are capable of a lot of things. By the way, guys, if you want to stay updated to all things CS, make sure to follow us here right now with the follow button and also on Twitter. The link is in the description. And don't forget to like the video as well. Thank you. Another interesting roster move just went down in 3D Max. The French squad decided to sign Body, who recently played for Fnatic and was released. He's replacing Joko in the lineup. And my friends, this swap comes as a surprise because the roster of 3D Max have been playing for almost 3 years in a row together in Heat, sometimes as free agents, and later for 3D Max. And 3D Max's first tournament in the new roster will be PGL Cluj-Napoca. Speaking of PGL Cluj-Napoca, we'll see a fresh team making an appearance, and it's Imperial Female. They're stepping in after FURIA decided to withdraw. Most likely, FURIA decided to skip the event because they're cooking something, or just to practice or take a break, because their recent results have been not so good, to be honest. And because of this, the organizer had to invite the next highest ranked team according to Valve's rankings, and that turned out to be Imperial Female. This squad has already proven that they can put up a fight against FURIA and even make NaVi sweat if they're not fully locked in. I'm really happy for the girls, and honestly their games should definitely be exciting to watch. Liquipedia decided to drop year in review. The largest esports database has wrapped up the year and updated the player and team popularity rankings. In 2024, the most searched player was Donk, obviously, who skyrocketed to the #1 spot. Other names that surged in popularity include JL, Snacks, Shiro, Zontex, Magix, Malbs, and Wonderful, as you can see almost the whole Team Spirit squad. As for teams, G2 was the most viewed, followed by NaVi in second place and Team Spirit in the third. Interestingly, the only squad that neither gained nor lost ranking spots was FaZe Clan, a true sign of stability. Now, let's just hope that they will bring the same consistency to the server. My friends, now let's talk about the mystery behind Starladder's sale. So, recently it was revealed that Starladder has a new owner. The tournament organizer was purchased by some Indian investor, but the core management team remains unchanged, as well as most of the staff. So now for us, all that's left is to wait and see what their next tournament will look like. In one of our previous videos, we talked about the price tags on roster moves, and now, my friends, we've got a new number. Starladder was sold for $5.5 million. That alone would have been an interesting headline, but then Richard Lewis dropped an investigation and things suddenly got a lot more complicated. So, guys, it's just hilarious. According to Lewis, the real issue lies with Nodwin, the company that bought Starladder. The problem here is that Nodwin has ties to ESL through sponsors and employees, and ESL in turn is linked to Saudi investors and the esports World Cup. So it basically matters because after Starladder's return, there were rumors that they might be hosting a major in December of 2025. Meanwhile, ESL hasn't hosted a major since 2022, which could possibly be hinting at their relations with Valve. Given that ESL has been aggressively expanding ever since securing the Saudi funding, some are questioning whether just ESL are trying to dominate the scene and monopolize it. Valve has previously dealt with similar situations before, for example like the eliminated partnership leagues, like the exclusive leagues like Blast and all that, introducing their own ranking system to keep things fair. But with ESL and other TOs competing for dominance, we're seeing potential conflicts of interests, like for example teams choosing EWC over a PGL event. Like for example, that's why probably FURIA is skipping Cluj-Napoca, not to lose the Valve points and simply prepare for EPL Season 21. This whole thing has sparked rumors that some tournament agreements are being broken, with ESL and its backers trying to secure as much control as possible. So far, Valve hasn't commented on the situation, but that could change very soon, my friends. Speaking of huge esports journalists, this whole drama also caught the attention of Thorin, who took it to Twitter to say that he'll likely never appear at major tournaments again, not as an analyst, caster, or a journalist. So here's what Thorin wrote. ESL are owned by about as evil people as you can imagine. PGL is run by a lunatic whose brain was broken by the flu. Starladder is the ESL thing now. Blast is committed to being the most bland broadcast in history and apparently forgot that they were Danish and seem to think that they're now Swedish. And you know what, guys, the whole Thorin situation is honestly pretty ironic. Thorin himself has burned countless bridges over the years, constantly throwing out wild hot takes about tournament organizers and sometimes putting them at reputational risks. He's basically the impersonification of the meme where the old man cries at clouds. At this point, it doesn't even matter how many majors he worked previously on, or how much money he made, or how well of a journalist he is. He's effectively shut himself down out of the scene. As one wise person said, to build may have to be the slow and laborious task of years, and to destroy can be the act of a single day. Anyways, guys, this whole Thorin thing, don't forget to leave your thoughts about it in the comments below. Because right now we're getting to the most exciting part of the video, the results of IEM Katowice main stage. And trust me guys, some of these matches were straight up shocking. No clickbait. Let's start with one of the most intense matchups, NiKo versus m0NESY, Falcons versus G2. The most interesting part here is that they met in the lower bracket, meaning that one of them had to go home. Falcons kicked off things strong on their pick, winning the first 3 rounds, and then they stabilized their economy and even moved forward, but G2 had other plans. Once they got the full buy, they came back, quickly tying up the score. Falcons then regrouped and managed to win 4 rounds in a row, but G2 didn't let them run away, so the first half ended 7-5 in favor of Falcons. But after the side switch, it was like someone just turned off Falcons' monitors. They managed to win just 2 CT rounds on their own map pick. A disappointing defense performance, though their T-side wasn't that bad, to be honest. On G2's pick, the tables completely turned. It was like Falcons wanted revenge for their terrible defense on Ancient. Falcons locked down their CT side, playing a disciplined defense, while G2 kept making mistakes. The first half ended with a dominant lead for Falcons. Then came a huge moment, this 1v4 clutch. Surrounded from all sides, Magisk somehow pulls off an insane play, giving Falcons a massive morale boost. From there, they easily reached the map point. And then, after some minor resistance from G2, they closed out the second map in style. And now the final battle on Mirage. Keeping up with the theme of the series, Falcons dominated early. In the 4th round, NiKo secures an ace, fueling his team's momentum. Falcons kept pushing, extending their lead to 8-4 by the end of the first half. They were doing it. But G2 weren't about to go down without a fight. Despite losing the pistol round, they won the force buy and with it, next 5 rounds. Falcons tried their best to hold on, but they just couldn't regain control. G2 completed the comeback and eliminated Falcons from the tournament. NiKo was shocked, m0NESY was emotional, but that was it. No Spodek arena for NiKo. And as we're moving on through the lower bracket where matches were a lot more exciting, G2 faced FaZe Clan, who just dropped down after losing to Vitality. Again, it was a do or die. Ancient started off evenly matched, with both teams going back and forth. The first half ended in 6-6, showcasing just how close the game was. But after the side switch, FaZe took control on the city side. At one moment, they even reached the map point, but G2 weren't ready to give up. They pulled off a 4-round comeback, forcing overtimes. However, there, FaZe took over. G2 won the first round, but then dropped 4 in a row, and FaZe won Ancient. Inferno was G2's pick, but for some reason, they started really badly. They kept losing rounds, making mistakes in both macro and micro plays. By the halftime, they had only 4 T-side rounds, which is far from ideal considering they picked Inferno. Luckily for G2, FaZe collapsed after switching sides. They lost 5 in a row, and G2 took full control. The Samurai quickly reached the map point, and despite Frozen's best efforts, they closed the Inferno and kept their tournament hopes alive. On Nuke, the decider, FaZe started strong again, considering they were playing the T side. But G2 didn't let them pull away, turning the half into a constant fight. Just like on Ancient, the first half ended 6-6. Here's the trick, guys. FaZe were about to switch to City side, where they feel way more comfortable. After losing the pistol round, FaZe went on a rampage, winning 7 rounds in a row. G2 simply couldn't break their defense, and before they knew it, they were eliminated from the tournament. Meanwhile, NiKo was already waiting for them at the airport. The lower bracket brought us an absolute banger, the red-hot Eternal Fire against a battle-scarred FaZe, and oh my god, guys, this match was maybe one of the best of the entire tournament, to be honest. Once again, Eternal Fire picked Anubis, and once again, nobody could stop them. Seriously, guys, if you ever face Eternal Fire, just ban Anubis first thing, or you won't even get a chance to fight back. Eternal Fire crushed the first half. They won 11 rounds against FaZe, and then they closed it out effortlessly in the second half. At this point, they're probably the best Anubis team in the world. The second map, Nuke, started way closer, with FaZe putting up a fight. Right in round 1, Brokey and Elige pulled off a 2v5. Amazing. Then, just a few rounds later, Brokey clutched in an insane 1v2 and set up FaZe for a strong start. But it all just didn't matter. Eternal Fire were unstoppable. They just demolished FaZe and got to 9-3. However, there was one huge problem for Eternal Fire. FaZe Clan were now on City side, and when FaZe is defending on Nuke, you already know what's coming. Just like that, FaZe pulled off a 7-round streak, completely flipping the game. They even took the lead, and from there, the match turned into a wild back-and-forth brawl, eventually forcing it to overtimes. Well, and the OTs were absolute cinema. One moment, Suntaris is spraying down the entire enemy team. The next, Major is holding a site solo. Double overtimes. Triple overtimes. At 19-19, Eternal Fire pulled off a dead round win. Xantares snuck behind enemy lines, flipped a 3v5 into 3v2, and then took down Rain from an insanely unexpected angle. Oh my god. But after even such a moment that could mentally break anyone, FaZe refused to quit. They forced another OTs. And there, finally, someone came out on top, and it was Eternal Fire. They secured their spot in the playoffs, while FaZe clan were eliminated. With this win, Eternal Fire became the first ever Turkish team to make it to IEM Katowice playoffs. It's an insane achievement, and congratulations to all the Turkish fans out there. I mean, meanwhile, the upper bracket final wasn't nearly as exciting. Vitality just dismantled Virtus.Pro. I mean, VP still made it through, but their chances don't look great because FL4MUS ran into visa issues. You see, his visa that he gained with Gamer Legion ended, but the visa that he gained with Virtus.Pro still hasn't started. So yeah, Virtus.Pro will now urgently sub him for Mir, who hasn't played Pro CS in almost a year. For Vitality, this just isn't another playoff run because it's history in the making. Just think of it, after 11 years, Apex finally reached the IEM Katowice playoffs. And not just that, straight into the semi-finals. Yeah guys, we've also got Group B, and there one of the most intense matchups was NaVi versus Team Spirit. The game had it all: clutch plays, insane highlights, and a battle that went all the way to overtimes. So let's watch. The action kicked off right from the pistol round, where IEM landed 4 perfect headshots and gave NaVi an early lead. Then they quickly pushed ahead to 5-1. But Spirit weren't backing down. They fought back and brought the score to a tie. That's when Magix stepped up. He delivered a crucial ace in round 9. When the sides switched, Donk took over. He pulled off an insane ace of his own on the second pistol round, setting up Spirit for what should have been a dominant finish, but NaVi had other plans. Instead of crumbling, they won 7 straight rounds, locking down Mirage, taking down their own pick. Next was Dust 2, Spirit's pick, and there they started strong, winning the first 3 rounds. NaVi though answered back with a 5 of their own. Just before the halftime, Spirit found their rhythm again, winning 4 more rounds and closing the half with a lead. After the side switch, Spirit pushed even further ahead, winning 4 in a row and looking to close the map. But NaVi weren't done yet. They, in an insane comeback, tied the score, but in the end, Spirit just clutched and secured Dust 2. And now Nuke, the decider. NaVi started strong, they won the first 4 rounds, with ease to be honest, but once Spirit stabilized their economy, NaVi's attack completely fell apart. Spirit answered back with 7 rounds of their own, completely flipping the game, and after the side switch, the match turned into a back and forth battle, with both teams trading rounds 1 by 1. And of course, it all went to overtimes on the deciding map. There, NaVi stepped up. They showcased dominance on both T side and CT side. They closed it out and stayed in the upper bracket while Spirit dropped to the lower bracket. Can you guys believe it? Finally someone, well, not someone, but it was NaVi, they kicked Spirit's butts. Well done. And I remind you, in the lower bracket there's no room for mistakes, and Spirit made sure to play it flawlessly. First, they took down Liquid with a clean TO sweep, no trouble at all. Then they met Gamer Legion. Guys, I'm not gonna skip it completely because of map 1, Anubis, which was Gamer Legion's pick, and you know what? They came well prepared and quickly pulled ahead to 11-5. And although Team Spirit mounted a comeback, fighting their way to 11-12, in the end, GL held strong and secured their map pick. It was just amazing, to be honest. Gamer Legion in Katowice shine bright. Although they totally lost maps 2 and 3, it's still a great deal. I just want to highlight how Raz came back alive. After his torture in Ninjas in Pyjamas, seeing him play in Gamer Legion and play well is just a pleasure to my eyes, to be honest. So my friends, now the playoffs bracket of IEM Katowice looks like this. Team Spirit versus Virtus.Pro, who will be playing with a stand-in, and the Mongols versus Eternal Fire. Meanwhile, in the semifinals, NaVi and Vitality will be waiting for their opponents. I remind you that there is no lower bracket in the playoffs of IEM Katowice, so if you lose, you go home. In the end, my friends, here's some insane fact from IEM Katowice. During the open stage and play-in, we've already seen 16 aces, which is double the amount of last year's entire tournament. This year, the playoffs are set to deliver some truly insane CS. Guys, who will you be rooting for in the playoffs? Let us know in the comments below. As well, just don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button right now, because we're heading towards the end. Thank you for watching. I'm not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.